Welcome back, everybody, to Lessons in Liabilities. I'm Bill Bolton with BB Insurance, and I'm so happy to have our next guest with us here today. This is Justin Eugenio Delfino. He's a really good friend of mine. I've known him for a long time. He's spent many years in the construction industry,
That's right.
and he's got a couple of stories for us. And Justin, go ahead. Let's hear it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Bill. And I'll just go ahead and just introduce myself. So, graduated from ASU in housing and urban development. And after I left that, institution, I went out into the world, diploma in hand, ready to tackle the world, and faced the economic downturn of 2007, which was, an unpleasant surprise. But
It was a good time.
Yeah, fortunately, what it did for me is it steered me into a different facet of construction that I hadn't previously planned on being in, which was healthcare construction. And getting involved in, I'll call it heavy industrial or heavy commercial construction, has been a rewarding career for me. I've been doing that work as a builder and also working as a CM and construction consultant for about 12 years now. So have quite a bit of exposure in the industry, and it's been treating me good. I enjoy my work, and I do have some questions for you about insurance, though.
All right, man, let's do it.
All right, I'll fire away. So, Bill, what I wanted to bring up to you, and I thought this would be a good format to have the discussion, was, in an organization that I work in now, which is a very large worldwide organization, there are departments that are set up to handle specific things like insurance. We engage on a contract. So, for example, we may have a CM contract with a particular entity, and they'll have requirements that we're to carry specific coverages or to be insured against certain things. And me acting in a program manager or a project manager role, I often don't get to see my department kind of going through that checklist. So, can you tell me, how does that interface happen behind the scenes where I don't see what's, I guess, going on? I just check the box kind of a thing.
Well, that's actually a fantastic story and question all in one. It's not checking a box. Hopefully, what's happening behind the scenes is not making sure, simply making sure that the limit's correct. Yeah, okay. You have GL, you got workers' comp, you got auto, check the box, check the box. Because within each one of those policies, and policies, by the way, are contracts. They are unilateral contracts set up by insurance carriers for their, written to be on to their best benefit, not yours. So instead of checking a box, make sure the person that is handling your insurance is actually reading that policy, that contract, and making sure that it lines up with what you actually need. Also with what your operation is. I mean, you just said you're with a large national company. You said international as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, international, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's many different contracts that they have to abide by. And if they're not following the rules of that specific contract, whatever they signed into, they could be sued for breach of contract if they're not following those guidelines in that contract. So yes, the broker needs to take care of that. Go ahead.
I suppose the worst thing that could happen for us, and it hasn't happened to me yet, but I suppose the worst thing that could happen would be you find out you didn't have the right coverage too late, and those working behind the scenes didn't maybe do all what they needed to do, and it's sort of outside of my purview.
That's 100% correct. But that is my job to make sure that takes place. And one of the issues that we have in our industry is that the vast majority of people out there that do what I do, they don't take care of that stuff.
Bill, I got another topic. It's related, but we do a lot of subcontracting, even smaller firms that do our same practice, which is construction management. And I've noticed over the years in dealing with some of the smaller firms, maybe they're grossing 5 million to 10 million a year. Some of these smaller companies seem to be a little bit lost and don't have the resources. They don't have the department to kind of hand off this task to. And I think a lot of them rely on insurance brokers to make sure that they are being compliant, but they have compliance issues. Should I be telling them to trust their broker? And I guess the next question would be is how do I set them up with a good broker? Who would I, how would I do that for them?
It's another one of my favorite things to discuss. So yes, Justin, you should trust your broker. You should. I mean, it's an important piece of business infrastructure. You trust your attorney, you trust your CPA,
Right.
trust the person that's handling your insurance. You should.
Yeah.
And if you don't, I mean, that's a red flag. You need to find somebody else. There are resources out there. I am part of the IAAV. That's the Independent Insurance Agents of Virginia, Agents and Brokers of Virginia. And my logo is right here. That there's a good place to find people that are independent agents and brokers that represent many different companies, insurance companies, and they can, your favorite term is bid, but they can put it out to market and see what the market's going to bear for two different purposes: to make sure that you have what you actually need, and also there's going to be a pricing war at that point. So you have multiple options to look at. The cheapest one's not always the best one. Sometimes it is, though. That's the fun thing about insurance. But Justin, I appreciate these questions. This has been cool, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time to do this, Mr. Delfino. Again, this is Bill Bolton with BB Insurance. Justin, you were about to say something, sir. What was that?
Thanks for having me, Bill, and I'll take that advice you gave and certainly pass your reference along to the folks I deal with. So appreciate it.
I appreciate that. All right, we will talk to you soon. Thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you.